what happened in the 7th century, what sowed as a seed in the 7th century, till today, one of the worst conflicts in world history is because the Muslims insisted Allah would be worshipped.
Conflicts where?
Well, one of the worst conflicts in human history has been the conflict around Israel and Islam for centuries. My dear friend, it's an open fact that Sahabas went with the sword. Simple, it's his history.
Yeah.
Yes, and so when you go with the sword, you can't say, oh, he wasn't converted. You can't say. So that's like, al-Baghdadi saying, we didn't convert.
The truth, right? You feel the obligation to come and tell me about the truth, right?
Yep.
That's the same thing with the companions, peace be upon them, brother. They had the truth and they had to spread it.
The difference is, I haven't come with the sword, they went with the sword. That's the difference.
But they weren't killing people, you know that.
No, you're missing the elephant in the room. So the name of Allah could not be mentioned. Said who? The custodians, the ones who were managing the property said, no Allah here.
They didn't allow the name of Allah to be mentioned.
That's what this
says.
says.
And the verse is saying, who is more unjust than them? Because it's a great injustice not allowing God to be remembered.
That's what the Muslims thought. Like the way saying...
That's what the verse is saying.
Yeah, but essentially, what does the verse... According to the verse...
It's saying what they're doing is very unjust.
Sure,
and the
I hear what you're saying.
Is very important.
But can you see that the verse records... Even though this is meant to be from the Muslims, it records a historical fact that the other parties who owned the building said, no Allah here. Can you see that is mentioned here? That is recorded here. No Allah here, they said.
I'm not sure.
Whether Muslims saw that as injustice or not is a different story. But they said, no Allah here. And that's recorded as a historical fact.
They said Allah is not allowed to be worshipped here.
Yeah. Can't even be mentioned here.
But you didn't say that in the beginning.
That's what they said.
We keep getting sidetracked.
I remember the example I gave you. A church. Let's say there is a building which is a church, a Christian church, where the Muslims think Allah could be mentioned there, worshipped there, and they want to barge in. The Christians say, no, we don't do Allah here. We do Jesus here. We do Jehovah here. No Allah here. But the Muslims say, oh no, we are dealing with the same one God, and therefore we'll come in and do what we want to do. And in that situation, the Muslims would be criminals in that situation. And I'm saying that is exactly what has happened here. The custodians of Masjid al-Haram said, no Allah here.
Yeah.
The Muslims thought that was a serious injustice. They didn't own the building. The owners of the building said, no Allah. The Muslims barged in and insisted. And eventually in the same surah, ayat 217, 216, 217, it says, the Muslims even said, if we are prevented from proclaiming Allah here, we will much rather kill you. Persecution is worse than slaughter, is what surah 216, the same surah, ayat 216 or 217 says.
Brother, sorry, you've been talking, but I don't see your point. And you did the same thing again, but I'm very respectful to you, brother. I was speaking, but then it became giving your point.
Our video will have the recording. Please watch this again. Where you asked me, I can tell you why I gave you this long response, because earlier you said that I didn't say Allah could not be mentioned. I actually meant that was my singular point right from the start when I was talking about Masjid al-Aqsa.
Okay, can you at least give me applause for actually sitting through and listening to what you have to say respectfully?
I commend you in my,
Okay.
I can tell you this very honestly. I've been at Speaker's Corner now for about 18 years. I can tell you, you are the cream of Muslims I've run into at Speaker's Corner.
Okay.
I would say, like you, there have only been maybe 20 Muslims maximum, like you. The rest, they will disrupt the conversation just because they don't want to get more information out on the table. At least you were able to say, look, I listen. Maybe I won't comment, but I listen. So I commend you. I really commend you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so brother, I want to cut it here. Okay, I just wanted to really see what your basis is and where you're coming from and your perspective.
Yep.
I'm going to give you my opinion.
Sure.
Now let's keep in mind it's my opinion, brother. I could be completely wrong. Sure. Okay. You cannot read this book and formulate your own opinions based on your limited understanding of this. There's a lot of, I'm giving you my opinion here, so please don't be offended or anything like that. There's a lot of knowledge there's a lot of context and knowledge that you need to know before you can read it. And you cannot read a simple translation, brother. There are long books and people dedicate their lives to understand this. And my point was, when I asked you about who follows their religion most, why I was asking you that was because if Muslims are actually following the religion to the utmost, why are they not doing what you're saying they're doing?
I can respond to that
That's what
when
I'm
you
saying
give me
to you.
time, yeah.
And also, the time the companions, peace be upon them, radiallahu anhum, at the time of the Prophet, this Quran was sent down to them for them to understand. And if you're saying that it is a contradiction on, like, they misunderstood the Quran, they understood the Quran more than us, and how they lived their life and the history factor is them following the Quran to the utmost. That's what I'm saying to you. So
I completely understand.
if you're saying something different, how come they weren't different?
I'm not saying, please, I
do
hear
you
what you're saying.
understand?
You've raised two objections. I'll respond
It's
to
the
both.
same one. It's the same.
It's the same one, same pattern.
One of them is modern.
One of them is
modern.
exactly.
If
I
you're
agree.
saying
So
Muslims are terrorists, why are they not doing it
Sure,
now? That's
sure.
what I'm saying.
So
to you.
one of them is
and
more
why
modern.
Why are they the best mannered
Sure.
out of all everybody
I will respond
else?
to both.
And then why?
Sure,
Right,
I'll
sure.
respond to both. As a matter of fact, history as we know it is consistent with the points that I've made so far, and case in hand is what happened to Temple Mount. The exact same point
Temple
that I'm,
Mount.
yeah, the exact, now I'm talking about the past, yeah, the 7th century, the companions that you have in mind. The companions did the exact same thing.
What did they do?
They went to Jerusalem, and not necessarily the first, I don't mean Sahabas necessarily, but people who were soonish Muslims soon after, they went to Jerusalem.
It was a Sahaba.
Yeah, went to Jerusalem, on Temple Mount, insisted that the Masjid Al-Aqsa has to be there, the Dome of the Rock has to be there, and they took over the property. This was a flagrant violation of the people group of the Jews.
Why are you basing
This
this
is a
violation of the Jews.
this is basic history from archaeology. Temple Mount is the site.
Sorry, you said desecrated Jews.
Archaeology have nothing to do with history.
Sorry, you said desecrate the Jews, and then you said archaeology. What does archaeology have to do with it?
Archaeology.
How can you
There's no connection there.
Archaeology gives us basic historical details also about buildings, structures and so on, and buildings.
Archaeology don't believe
Could
that
I-
Jesus
could I
had a
please-
miraculous
Thank you
birth.
very much. I'm trying to.
No, but I'm saying it's a
Archaeology is
conversation.
clear.
Speakers
I
corner.
can-
But I'm saying archaeology does not believe in the miraculous birth of Jesus. So if you're using archaeology to prove faith, it doesn't work. Most archaeologists
So-
are atheists.
Archaeology, I'm not saying archaeology can be used for an eye surgery. Clearly is misunderstood.
It's not about eye
Archaeology
surgery.
has its relevance, and I am talking about only its relevant implications. Archaeology clearly can't help with establishing supernaturality, but archaeology can help establish historicity of some claims. For example, we know the UK was a Roman, part of the Roman Empire because of archaeology. There are plenty of Roman sites across the UK. So we can use these sites to
But
understand.
quoting Quran
And so my
to say
point,
that all Muslims are terrorists. As if on the-
no, can I please?
Brother, I'm gonna let you continue. I just want to say this. Don't forget what we're talking about, because we just keep getting sidetracked.
Because
we're
of this
talking about
archaeology. So I'll tell you.
But why are we talking about the archaeologists?
The
Just tell me
Sahabas,
so you remember.
yeah, the Sahabas did exactly the criminality which I am bringing up, which you are disagreeing with. I am saying that is exactly what they did, and based on that, they took over a the holiest of Jewish sites, and blasphemously built a mosque. Now, according to the Sahabas, it's not blasphemy. I completely understand.
No,
but according to the Jews, that would be blasphemy.
I don't know where. Sorry, I'll stop you there. I don't know where you got that information
The
from.
information is simple.
Because how-
we have details from history that is the Temple Mount where
What
the
history? So if I wanted to look at this information, where
Sure.
would I get this information?
So yeah, today there is plenty. For example, there is a thing called Hezekiah's Tunnel. For
is it a
example,
website?
No, history. In Israel, there are plenty of archaeology museums. There is a British museum here. Like British Museum, there is in Israel. There are a few different museums. Museums prefer.
Sorry, isn't archaeology the study of Earth?
No, that's geology.
Geology, sorry. My bad.
Archaeology is the study of artifacts that human beings have left behind in
So similar aspect.
buildings.
It's more things rather than Earth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, you're studying something. That's all logis.
So I'm
Archaeology
asking you
studies,
this.
for example, let's say we live today and we have this building. 300 years later, that building may not be around. And let's say for some reason we are all gone, but some new people
How
come.
does that prove that Muslims
They-
desecrated other?
I'm explaining.
That's why I'm asking you.
Israel of today is archaeologically a Jewish nation, archaeologically. particularly the Temple Mount.
Not really. They're basically Europeans, but okay.
I'm talking about whether. I'm not talking about whether. That's a different story. Whether today's we can discuss that. I disagree, but we can discuss that later.
Yeah.
Israel was not a Muslim land. Israel was the land of a god called Jehovah. Israel was the land of a king called King David. King David's family ruled Judea for a long time. We know this from archaeology. Various kings from the kingdom of David are archaeologically attested in Israel. Like how kings are attested, religious structures are also attested. One of the religious structures that is attested to in Israel is the Temple Mount. At Temple Mount, we today know how temples were built. Two particular temples, Solomon's temple, Ezra and Nehemiah's temple, which was later refurbished and called Herodian temple. Two Jewish temples. We know the exact worship system there through the Torah, which is also a preserved literature. We know who was worshipped, we know in what way he was worshipped, we know the priests who were involved in worship, we know the sacrifices involved in worship, and all sorts of various other details. What we can say,
I'm not going to speak. I just want to say to you, please, we're talking about how the Muslims
went there, like how they took over this building in the example I gave you, like how I brought up, where Masjid Al-Haram, where Allah, they said, hey, Allah, no Allah here. Muslims insisted there will be Allah. They did the same with Temple Mount. We will have Allah here. We will do Masjid Al-Aqsa here. We will do Dome of the Rock here.
So what do you believe they did? What did they do to Aqsa?
Where it was a place of Jehovah worship was converted into a place of Allah worship because the Muslims thought that Abraham worshipped Allah.
But didn't the Romans get rid of the Jews from Jerusalem?
That is irrelevant. Regardless, the Temple Mount, whether the Romans got rid of the Temple Mount.
No, because like when I learned about this story from a Muslim perspective, we learned that there were Christians there and the Jews were killed and they were persecuted, they were removed from there, and it was the Muslims that brought back the Jews into Jerusalem. That's what we believe. So I want to know.
You're talking about the people right now. I'm talking about the
temples.
The temples right now. Okay. To me, my point very simply is you mentioned, I can't remember exactly how you worded it. You said something like, think about Al-Aqsa as a modern day example or something. I can't remember exactly how you worded it.
I said, because you said that
same
the remembrance
problem.
of Allah has stopped. Like people who's more wrong than people
you mentioned about Al-Aqsa. Somehow, my point is that is an evidence for me which is of the same pattern. Al-Aqsa was built where it should not have been built. If people went by historical credibility of what belongs to who, Temple Mount should be there, and that is the problem for the conflict even today. What happened in the 7th century, what sowed as a seed in the 7th century, till today, one of the worst conflicts in world history is because the Muslims insisted Allah would be worshipped. Where
conflicts were?
Well, one of the worst conflicts in human history has been the conflict around Israel and Islam for centuries. And a seed for that.
Sorry, Israel and Islam. How?
Well, since 7th century, Islam took over the land, like they took. Yeah, by God's grace, sorry, good to see you. Like they took over various other lands. Lebanon was Christian, changed into Islamic. Lebanon was an Arabic.
Christians they weren't kicked out; they were kept there, brother.
Lebanon wasn't even Arabic. Proper physical duress, proper.
What were they?
My dear friend, it's an open fact that Sahabas went with the sword. Simple, it's his history.
Yeah.
Yes, and so when you go with the sword, you can't say, oh, he wasn't converted. You can't say. So that's like al-Baghdadi saying we didn't convert. That's not good logic.
I don't see a point talking about this because I believe otherwise, brother. It's very simple.
What otherwise? You go with the sword.
They didn't go. If I'm telling you that when they freed Jerusalem, they brought back the Jews in there, how are they trying to force people to convert?
So what happened to the Temple Mount? Focus on that.
You're just talking about now how they got rid of people, they killed people, they forced them to convert.
That was Lebanon. Lebanon was a Christian country.
But then you said that Islam was spread with the sword. That's what you said.
How exactly Islam was spread if not with the sword?
What would you mean by spread with the sword?
Well, Islam in the 7th century, the major contribution of Islam, beginning with the 7th century, was the caliphate spread all over into Egypt and Saharan Africa, further into the Middle East, and further up into Asia, into Europe, into even Spain and so on, into Asia, with the sword. It's a simple fact.
With the sword. So how? Are they killing people? Is that
Yes,
what
of course. They were killed with the sword. What else do they do?
you're saying? I don't think. We
If you go to a nation which didn't belong to you, with 1,000 of you, no, I don't mean you, 1,000 of them at that time, a million of them, or 10,000 of them with swords. What is the intent? To go have breakfast party or what? They clearly are going to chop people's heads off.
Brother, it's very simple. How I perceive history and how you perceive history is very different, brother.
So explain.
So I don't think we should continue in this because it's pointless, brother. Because I don't see it like this, but you see it like that. So I don't think it's.
But with the sword, what could they have done?
What do you mean? So they wanted the land. How I perceive it, brother.
Yeah.
My basic understanding of just basic human being. Not anybody who knows anything about knowledge. Basically, just to have that land for themselves.
Yeah.
And for it mainly to be worshipped for God. But whoever doesn't.
Yeah. So let's say you go into Egypt with a sword.
Spread the religion, sword, whatever.
What is spread the religion? With a sword, what do you spread?
Okay, brother, I want to ask you a question. I know I'm going to ask you this.
Please,
and then-
this is important.
I
With
know-
the sword,
sorry, I know I'm gonna
you're going
ask
into Egypt, Mamluk dynasty. What did they do? With the sword, they went to Egypt for what?
Brother, you keep cutting me, brother, and I'm being very respectful to you because I'm genuinely here. I want to know your point, brother. Are you trying to revert me? Is that what you're trying to do?
No.
You're
My
not?
point
So
is.
Are you just
I'll
trying to
tell you.
belittle my religion and my?
No.
What are you trying? What is your objective?
My objective is I'm speaking to a fellow human being
Yes.
who holds a very different point of view currently,
Yeah.
but he's still my fellow human being. I don't necessarily think in one conversation he's going to change his mind entirely necessarily. But
you
I
haven't-
would like to have a conversation in a way where he is challenged. So when he goes home, he is thinking, hey, look, I have been told all of these things. This gentleman said all of these things. What is truth? Well, I'm only 27 years old. I am 41, by the way. Hassan is 27.
Thank
and
you for remembering my name, brother.
Hassan,
I respect that, brother.
Yeah, no, thank you. Becoming older, I struggle these days, but I'd like to do. Because you're precious. To me, you're precious. As a fellow human being, you're precious. So, and you have treated me.
But why? Why?
Because that's how Jesus wants me to treat you. And so my point is, so I would like, this is my goal.
I'm not. Look, you've been talking non-stop. I'll let you
But
continue.
goal
I
is this.
just want to say to you
I would
this.
like-
No,
yeah.
let me say this to you, brother. Do you feel obligation to come and inform me about religion? Do you feel
Yes.
obligation?
I feel an obligation.
If you have the truth, right? You feel the obligation to come and tell me about the truth, right?
Yep.
That's the same thing with the companions, peace be upon them, brother. They had the truth and they had to spread it.
The difference is, I haven't come with the sword, they went with the sword. That's the difference.
But they weren't killing people, you know that.
No, you're missing the elephant in the room.
the elephant?
I have come to Speaker's Corner not with a sword. Christian missionaries right from the first century, the apostles, Peter, Paul, please listen.
I don't know history, so I cannot comment.
But
on this.
but you can hear first. You can comment later, but hear first.
Are you going to tell me
But
something
hear
I have
first.
no information about
Sure.
and I cannot comment?
But you don't have to
Look,
comment.
I have to
Hear
go
me
now.
first.
I have to go now. Look.
One second, I'll finish this. Please hear.
Look,
You don't
I'll
have
give
to
you-
agree.
I have to go because I have to pray, brother. I have
Sure.
to pray. It's getting late.
If you really want to know what the truth is, the strength of the argument is in the fact that the early Sahabas of Jesus did not take swords but took information and laid their own lives to be able to demonstrate what the truth was.
I agree with that.
Versus
I agree with
the
that.
Sahabas of Islam,
Yes.
of Muhammad,
Yes.
who went with the sword. Why? Because they realized only the sword could do their trick, they accomplished their mission. They did not think they could take historical details elsewhere
why-
to convince others.
Okay, so very
That's
simple.
the difference.
Very simple. Please give me a very short answer, brother, because I have to go. Why is it not happening today?
For this, okay.
Short answer, brother. Give me a short answer. Why is it not happening today?
According to the Quran,
If that's the understanding
Sure.
of the religion. If that's what we're supposed to abide by, why are we not continuing to do that?
according to the Quran, there is a detailed plan of how a Trojan horse would operate. Islam is a Trojan horse. Please answer. I'm answering. Do you know what a Trojan horse is?
Yes,
Just to
I know
make
what
sure.
Trojan horse
Yeah. According to the Quran, I can show you multiple ayats for that. According to the Quran gives a plan for a Trojan horse. And the way so in other words, you ask me why isn't it happening in the UK, for example? It isn't happening. What is not happening in the UK? If you ask me, jihad is not happening in the UK. Of course, jihad is happening in the UK. But if you ask me, why is there not widespread jihad in the UK? I can tell you, well, because people are waiting for the right time, and it is not yet. And in the meantime, the Quran gives instruction as to how the Trojan horse could mobilize. It's there in the Quran.
That's called paranoia, brother.
That's not, no, it's called the Quran.
No, be worried about
It's in the Quran.
It's gonna
I'm
happen.
not worried.
These guys are going to take... No, it's paranoia, brother.
Hassan, please. Hassan, I'm not worried. I am saying it is there in the Quran.
No,
Now,
brother.
today you may not have time, but if we, for example, our channel is called Operation Stephen on YouTube.
How long have I been standing here for? 2 hours?
Maybe 2 hours, sooner. Maybe 1 hour, 1.5
Brother,
hours.
I have to be
You've been a
honest
good
with you.
sport.
Obviously, but I let you speak because I want to see where you're coming from,
Sure.
brother. But all I could see, brother, was you understanding this in a certain way based on your understanding and how you want to proceed.
But can I
brother.
say what I think will happen?
Brother, you've been saying what you've wanted to say this
I
past
know, but
hour and a half, brother.
just
and
on the last
and
point.
I've wanted to see where you're
You
coming
finish.
from, brother.
I will tell you what happened. In my own words, I can tell you what happened.
It's fine, brother, it's fine.
I can tell you what happened in the last.
I know other people don't let you speak, brother, so I'm just letting you speak, brother.
Now
So
you are a
I'm
marvelous
making
man.
it up for
I
you.
appreciate you. I can tell you what happened. You were telling what happened was, I have a view, but I have provided ayat after ayat to justify my view. You did not contradict the details I brought up from the ayats, but you simply said maybe someone else could explain in some other way, but you haven't contradicted. Now, you are imagining that maybe someone else could contradict me, but you might, in 10 years' time, may realize all that Arul said is true.
Brother,
You might realize.
If you let
And
me
so-
talk now, brother, if you let me talk. There was nothing that you said that was compelling or convincing to do with the contradictions in the Quran, brother. Like I said, brother, and I've said it many times and I'm going to repeat it. I believe that you have, genuinely, brother, I believe you have your own beliefs and you're trying to read your beliefs into the Quran that aren't there. And I cannot see something, and I don't perceive myself in the future to come to the same conclusion as you have, because I would have to have the opinion that you have first to be seen, to be able to perceive those verses like that. Now, whether you want to call the God that we worship Allah or anything else, this is a very basic understanding and how I perceive it and how everybody should perceive it, brother, and how people should start it. The message and the goal of this world is very simple. This world is a test, and you have to find God before you die. Do you agree with that? Just say yes
Find
or
the
no.
true God.
Try and find the true God before you die. Do you agree with that?
Well, that's one of the
And if
main
it's a
objectives.
test, if it's
That's
a test,
one of the main objectives.
If it's the test, then it's going to be hard. I'm gonna talk to you about Islam now, but from a different perspective than everybody. Hopefully, a different perspective. Maybe you've been here for years, so you've probably heard it all, right? It's very simple, brother. What we believe is God created us. He put us in this world, a test. Whoever does good and whoever recognizes God is in control of everything, will have a great afterlife. If not, it will be eternal damnation. Same thing as you believe to this event. God sent thousands of prophets. He said, what we believe is, I think it's either 125,000, between 180,000. So you can see many, many, many prophets throughout time. What happens is the prophet comes, the people believe, and then they disbelieve after. They kill the prophet, they deny the prophet, so on and so forth. And that's always continuous, always happened. And God has always sent another prophet, another prophet, another prophet. The father of the prophets that we have, obviously, is Abraham, and then it has one side Isaac, and then the other side Ishmael, which has Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But you probably don't believe that, but that's fine. The Jews, not the Jews, the children of Israel were sent many prophets. And they either believed or they didn't believe, and they changed it after. There's always been the same pattern. God always sent another prophet to reinstate the message. And the message is very simple, to worship God alone. So whether you want to call it, what's the name of the God in the Bible?
Yehovah.
Or you call him that, or you want to call him Allah, it's the same. Whether you want to call him the universe, or whoever you want to call him, there's one God, and there's only one God worthy of worship, and you need to find that God before you die. And if I was in the time of Jesus, I would be a follower of Jesus. But right now, what you guys have, the fact that the Bible was it written, you're probably going to deny everything I'm saying, but how I perceive it, and if I look it up, you'll probably understand it like this. The fact that it was written by the disciple and he wrote half of it without even meeting Jesus. How can I follow him and think that this is from God? I cannot follow something man-made. What I have to follow is something directly from God. And we believe as Muslims that we have that. We know that we have that. And it's very simple, brother. Save yourself before you die.
So
That
to me,
is.
If I could respond to you,
Yeah.
you've given a nice story, nice idea, nice view of your world. How do you know your ideas are right?
How do you know your ideas are right?
I cross-examine my ideas with evidence on ground.
But don't you think it's strange that different religions have similar correlations?
No. Islam and the Bible are polar opposites. I'll give you a simple example. You said 124,000 to how many ever thousand prophets. There's no zilch evidence for this. Zilch evidence. If I ask you, who was a prophet for the Celtic people? There's none.
No.
Who was the prophet? I'm a Tamil.
I'm saying to you what we believe, brother.
I completely, and that's exactly my point.
That's fine, brother.
That is exactly my point.
Look,
you are going.
Look. Sorry, brother. I gave
Hassan,
you. I gave you.
let me make this is an important point.
I've let you talk. I've given you my beliefs. Obviously, for you to have my beliefs, you need to believe in the religion to begin with, and everything else falls in place.
That's not how things
Do you
work,
understand?
Hassan. Please, one
No.
second.
One second. So
can
what
I
I'm saying-
say?
so
Can
I'm
I
not
say?
expecting you? I'm not expecting you to believe that.
Can I say?
Brother,
can I?
brother,
One second.
no,
Let me ask
I
you a
have
simple
to- I
question.
have to establish this.
Yeah.
And what I said to you, I'm not expecting you to believe what I said.
Sure. But let me ask you a
No,
simple question.
No,
yeah.
you're not listening.
Can
to
I? The TFL bus there.
Brother.
Can I get in and say this is an Oyster card? It's going to work. Can that work?
Brother, you're not listening to what I'm saying to you.
I'll
I'm
finish.
saying for you, if you don't want to believe what I'm saying, it's right for you not to believe it. Because I believe this, because I believe in the religion. Once you believe in the religion, you believe in everything else. That's what I'm saying to you. So this believing that believing that there's 125,000 prophets, it's my belief. I don't expect you to believe it. Because there's no proof.
But
I cannot prove
Let
it.
me reply. If I said, hey, I genuinely believe this is an Oyster card, and get on a bus and say, look, this is really an Oyster card. This must work, and based on this, I should be able to be on the bus and travel. Do you think that they'll let me in? One second, Hassan, please. This is
I'm
important.
gonna go now, brother.
But I know
It's been-
completely.
it's been- I know, I have to go, I have to go now.
That's my point. My point is, unfortunately, what even would not work with the TFL bus, you think you're going to do with eternity, it isn't going to work. You better, before it is too late, when you're holding a Tesco club card, and saying
Just very quickly, what am I doing wrong with my religion?
what you're doing wrong is that you're entirely basing your life based on belief, not facts. Facts is what leads you to truth. Beliefs could lead you to all sorts of confusion. There are people who believe they are Obama in the mental asylum. There are people who believe they are,
Do you not believe in God? You.
I know of a God
Yes or
who has
no?
spoken to me. I know of a God who has spoken to me.
God has spoken to you.
Yes, of course.
That's
So,
perspective, right?
no, you speaking to me right now, is that
It's the same-
perspective?
It's the same thing, brother. Like if you
It is not
believe
the same
something-
thing.
if something
Please don't-
happened to you, you cannot expect me to believe
Sure,
it
sure.
because it happened
Hassan,
to you.
but let's stay
Brother,
more
look,
for.
we're not going anywhere.
Check your beliefs against evidence. That's all I'm going to say. Because you said, in this life, it's a test, you
what I
said.
said to you-
And in the test,
Look,
Hassan, please, you
well,
need to listen
no,
right
you
now.
have to listen to me. What I was saying to you, brother, I don't expect you to believe. It was my understanding.
You better don't expect when you haven't
brother,
provided
see,
evidence.
You're not even listening to what I'm saying. You're just thinking about what you're going to say next and waiting for me to finish speaking so you can implement what you're saying. But listen to me, brother. What I was saying to you, it's something that I believe and Muslims believe as well. And I just wanted you to hear that perspective, brother.
Sure.
I'm not giving you evidences to back what I said to you, but I wanted you to hear that perspective. But you
Yeah.
probably heard it
What I'm going to tell you,
Have
your
you heard it
beliefs-
1,000 times? Yes.
your
You've heard it-
beliefs-
You've heard it so many times.
Oh yeah, of course, at Speaker's Corner, all the time. Your beliefs are against all available historical evidence. And so I would like
Where do
you,
base your historic evidence on, brother? Where do you get your historic information from?
where everyone bases their evidence. For example, if someone challenges, oh, why do you think that's not Oyster card? Or that's
take care
Oyster
of
card.
yourself. What's your
Take care,
What's your
pleasure,
name? What's your name?
Arul, A-R-U-L.
Arul.
Yeah, good to see you. Operation Stephen. Hassan, this is your life's test. Figure out if Islamic Allah is true and if Islam is true.